forward to talking to you guys or showing y'all this new conversation here that I had with a Texarkana artist. His name is Colton Barker, and he's a young man who is really rising, getting his ground and rising in his as a professional at start of his career. And we're getting a good conversation with him about that and his new mural. He's a very all of his work is very expressionist. His personal work, he puts a lot of emotion is attached to that work. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hello, I'm Brittany Hazelton, and this is Architects Artistry, where we explore the arts in our area. Today's guest is recently gotten a mural they're currently painting on right now at Fuzzy's near Texarkana, I believe, and has assisted in other mural projects by other artists in that area. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Colton Barker and I'm a muralist from Texarkana. I spend my time working on murals with my mentor sometimes, and sometimes I work on my own paintings. I've started a new series with a unique spin using both Sharpie and oil, and in my meantime I do web design and I also paint murals. And so I've got one recently up at a new Fuzzy's Tacos on the I-30 interchange, and it's nice. Got a few, I had to create a few shark designs and a little bit of a wave. It's a very simple mural design, and I didn't think too much about it, more so because when I think about it, I usually think too much about it, and so I spend too much time making it, thinking about how good it needs to be, instead of actually just making it in the first place. And that's what a lot of these paintings are too, is more so just less thinking about how it's supposed to look and more just doing the thing first and foremost. And that's what I've always struggled with, so trying to force myself out of that.
Well, so
And it was like that.
I understand what you're talking about. Honestly, they say some of the best ways to work your imagination is to just let yourself just draw. Don't even think about, don't pre-plan, just let it go and just start drawing whatever comes to you in that moment. Just kind of freehand. And I see your work there, and you said you use Sharpie and what now?
Well, oil painting.
Oh,
So,
nice.
so I start with all of these I've done it in a different way. That one started with a toning base. First one on the left started with a toning base, and then I did another toning base, threw a rag at it a bunch of times while the paint was still wet, and then I did it all in Sharpie. That was my first one. And then this next
Oh,
one did the base layer, then I did a lot of the Sharpie, and then I painted over it. This one was a lot of the same, except I did two toning coats. One light blue, then I drew, and then I did another base coat over it with a darker blue. So
okay.
the face comes up lighter, and then the entirety of it comes up dark, like the rest of it can come up darker.
Well,
And
I
so,
like your work a lot. I love
thank you.
the unique process that you have there, using oil paint with Sharpie. That's really cool. That's definitely not
I have
something I've heard.
always, yeah, no, I kind of just did it on a whim, really, because when it was at one of the bigger festivals down here that I just came up with it. It was it's a thing, an event called Universal Vibe. We're not doing it in 2025, but it was the first festival I went to 2 years ago, like to be a vendor and everything.
Yeah.
And then I did it again this November, or like 2024's November. And the first day I didn't do anything. And that's kind of how it was the last year before that. I was more so helping the artists that I brought with me, because that's kind of what I do. I help people and I bring them with me to help everyone else around me prosper and work up their portfolio or like their reputation, their connections, and everything in town. I work
Yeah.
as a sort of benefit for especially the ones that are close to me.
So
That's what I
you're
want to do.
always trying to help people, it seems, and other
Yeah,
artists
well,
and
a
things.
lot of it, I mean, in the back of my mind, that's kind of where art always is supposed to be for me. It's supposed to, at the end of the day, help people in some way. And if I didn't feel like this wasn't going to do it, I probably wouldn't be making it in the first place.
No.
I wasn't always someone who really liked people. There was a long period of time earlier when I was a child that I just slowly grew more and more hateful of people and wanting to be by myself the rest of my life. Didn't want other people existing. And then I ended up going to a private school, and I was given a lot more care, and care from people that where it didn't feel obligated because they were just blood-related people.
Yeah.
And so that amount of care that they gave me that changed me a lot. And eventually I wanted to give that back to the people that did care for me and see that there's more to it than just those people caring for me, but there are other people that probably felt like me at
I
some point.
I felt a lot of the same way when I was younger. Actually, I was very. There was a lot of solitude and loneliness that I was always alone for a portion of my childhood. And as I got older, and I kind of escaped, for me as a child, I escaped through art. And as I got older, people were always interested in what I was doing. And that's kind of what drew people to actually speaking to me was my art I was doing in the corner. And it was curiosity, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's kind of
So
how it is for me nowadays, I will say, because like to go in, well, if it's okay to go into that, this.
it's okay. We're talking about, for art for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like I wasn't always the artist person. I had a bigger interest in science when I was a kid. Well, not necessarily bigger interest, but my focus was on science because I was like,
Yeah.
I always had in the back of my mind, I had to have a real job that didn't rely on, because creatives, it's not a real job or anything. And so that kind of always sat in the back of my head.
That's
And
what we're
I know
always told by people.
some people always do, like some people make it.
Yeah.
Some people struggle though, and I guess I just was told not to be the person that struggled, and so I didn't aim for that for a very long time. But it was always something I liked, and always something I wanted to achieve. But I was focused in science instead of like business or sports or something, and so that made me grow into a very certain mindset when it came to the idea of existence or things like that. My parents raised me Christian, but the thing is that despite them raising me Christian, they didn't do too good of a job of taking me to church early on during life. And so that idea of science conflicted whenever they brought up what like things about religion or the idea of what happens after death or things like that. And so I was in a very conflicted space
Yeah.
by myself because I didn't spend time with other people, so I had a very big conflict in my own head for years and years and years about the idea of what life was in general.
Yeah.
And that hurt.
I can imagine.
Yeah, that caused a lot of strife. And until I eventually went to that private school, I didn't really, it was called Veritas Academy. I never really had a chance to see what the good side of religion or Christianity could have been. And that being there, having people that did genuinely care, that was a lot for me. It changed me completely.
It brought you
Seeing-
more into wanting to communicate with people, I'm sure.
it gave me friends that were, despite being different, they cared for me. Like, when I started, I was an awkward, introverted little dweeb. That's the thing, is that's what I was before that. So I was an awkward little dweeb for a long time, and some people were annoyed. Like, everyone was pretty much annoyed by me to some degree. But we were all like that to a degree.
Oh
All
yeah,
of
I
us.
I was I
Yeah.
think that's a trait of creative
But
minds. We are always
but
awkward.
private school kids too.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
I actually went to a private school as well. This was St. John's is a Catholic school here, and that's where I went.
Mm.
Um, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your mural design. So you said you're
Yes.
doing different sharks or different types of sharks on this
Yeah.
mural.
A few. Yeah. Not. It's not anything too specific or anything. I kind of partially looked up shark designs and kind of got ideas for how I wanted to shape it and things like that. So the first one I made into a thresher shark, which is the one with a big top. The flukes. That's the end of the tail, the very
Yeah,
end. Yeah. I don't have a fish on here, so I can't really. You
it's
know the
okay.
fluke of a whale. So
Yeah.
like the thing that sticks out in the water and splashes down, that's the fluke. And so the thresher has a really elongated top part of the fluke, and that's where the focus is for that. And then there's obviously a hammerhead in the next one. So
Love
that one has
hammerheads.
that one, yeah, that one has the hammerhead facing sideways, so you can see that shape, that defined shape that
Nice.
makes the hammerhead such a strong silhouette. And so even when you're looking from it from the inside, you could still see that, oh yeah, that's a hammerhead shark, of course, because like it's such an iconic looking animal in
Yeah, it
general.
really
So
is.
having that, being able to see the head, you're like, oh, that's a hammerhead shark right there. And then
Well, it
there's
looks like
the other
from
one.
what I saw of what you were doing, I checked out a few of your videos. It's coming along pretty well.
Somewhat. It's slow, but it's faster. I'm sure it'll be faster than my first mural. That one took quite a long time to come up with the design, put it together, and then the actual idea. I didn't have the exact picture ever drawn up, unlike this time where I made sure to get it done because I struggled with my first one because a lot of it was coming up with how it looked before, like after I'd already made the design and after I was already painting it. I had the general shapes of most things in the
Yeah,
mural, but I didn't have, it wasn't perfect. And
all those
because of that,
details
I
wasn't there
struggled
yet.
with coming, yeah, I had problems when I was actually drawing those bits in the actual mural or painting it in that moment. And that caused me to take a lot more time to make it. And it's still not even nearly, like it is barely almost done, but I've got a few more things that I probably should be adding to it that would make it whole.
Well, the process of art when you're doing things, especially when you're doing something new like a mural, it takes time to develop that skill, and you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, true,
So
true. And
even if
like,
that first one took longer, this one will be a little faster, and the next one will be a little easier, and you keep going and
possibly,
you progress. I think.
yeah. To some degree, you have to know like how you're designing it and how much detail you want to put into it. I put a lot of detail into that first one because it was just so important to me that I get that job and that I get another one by people looking at this one and seeing, oh, that's really good. I want to hire him for this mural. And I didn't need it nearly as much as I thought I did. I've gotten at least one other mural proposal. That one never went anywhere because I was very abstinent and did not get to it. I did not text the guy back
It's
very
okay.
timely.
I think we all miss opportunities at certain points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what? So when in your life, at what point did you decide you wanted to start taking art to a more professional level for yourself?
Well, there's kind of two parts to, like, I would say there's two times where like I kind of really honed in on the idea. I mean, like there was a part in high school where I kind of thought about doing YouTube, but that never really went anywhere. And by the time the private school I went to closed down when I was in 10th grade, but when that happened, it was around the time when I was possibly thinking about going to college and what I would do for college, and I had a decision and I couldn't make up my mind, so I had 5 different things that I wanted to do for college. By the time, like even by the time, like I got kicked out in the next school in 11th grade, 2 months in, and then I got my GED by the end of this by the end of the year, school year. And so then I was like, oh well, now I got to choose a major, and so I narrowed it down by then to two things. That was either a mix between biology and engineering, or doing art. And at first, I couldn't choose, and so I took a year and a half about before I had to choose. Was it going to be engineering and biology, or was it going to be art? And I kind of just was like, frick it. I just said, whatever. And I just was like, art. We'll do art first. Forget thinking about engineering. I want to do something that helps people. And as smart as I can be when it comes to thinking about biology and engineering, how I could use that for other people's good, I think I can do that outside of college.
Yeah.
If I was aiming to do stuff with art, I could probably find a way of putting that engineering and biology aspect, putting that into my art as well. And so
Yeah, like you were talking to me a
that's,
little bit about some of your writing ideas, and you seem to have
yeah, I have
implemented
a
a
very,
bit of science-y aspects to that too.
yeah, there's a lot of theoretical ideas that I have about the ideas of physics, or like how time works, things like that. And
Yeah, same.
it's not a main, I didn't go into detail with you about it, but it's something that's very unique to how I think. I've not, a lot of those things are things that lots of other people don't put in their stories or things like that.
Oh
And that's
yeah,
partly for good reason, because thinking too much about those aspects while not making a story takes away from the story in
it
general,
can.
because you're spending so much time thinking about the mechanics of your world.
I think it's also
And
about the way you present it. In your work, you hint at it in a ways that people can
oh
kind
yeah,
of
for sure.
discover it, and you don't have to go in full detail. It's about a little bit of
Exactly.
vagueness, but having it, you in your mind, you know it's there.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
it wasn't just that, it was doing it to an extent that would make those people who analyze that kind of stuff, who are physicists or chemists, like appreciate
Oh yeah.
the work that would, like how fight scenes would flow in a realistic way or something. That's something I always wanted to think about when creating the stuff that I was, those ideas, those story ideas.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet gone into them, but that still runs in the back of my brain, and that kind of sets me up for like what I really want to do with my life, is to be a director, not necessarily for film or maybe for animation. It could be for games or art projects, bigger art projects, theater.
Well, it sounds
I
like, you're a world builder, and director is a great
Yeah,
position for a world builder to be,
yeah.
because we can kind of direct and we have an idea of what
I mean,
the world around us, how to shape it, and we can
yeah.
direct
I mean,
people in doing it.
to an extent, that's not exactly why I choose to be a director either. The director thing comes from more so knowing that that position would be hard for me, because I know who I am as a person, and from what I can tell, I would probably be the most fit for being some sort of advisor or assistant to a leader of sorts, not necessarily the leader itself, because I just don't have those leadership qualities all the time. But the thing is that I know that one of the biggest things you could do in life is to just do. Not necessarily, that maybe that's not the right way to say it, but basically doing something that's not necessarily my forte, working on it, and always having that need and that aspect of needing to work on it. Being director is something that would take a lot of guts, take a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
something out of, if you wanted to be good at it, or be the best at it, you have to really try, and you have to know people, and I do.
Oh
That's
yeah.
another thing, is that like my best thing out of one of my best qualities that I appreciate everybody around me, and I have a lot of care for them, and knowing how all that works and stuff is something that I always thought about in the back of my head, but it's always been difficult.
Yeah.
And so that directing position, despite it being not necessarily, not to say that I couldn't be really good at it, but the thing is that it's not necessarily what I was ever made to do.
Why not
But it might
challenge
just be the
yourself,
thing I'm
right?
supposed. I think, yeah, I think in the back of my head, it's something I'm supposed to do, not
So,
just.
so I would say to that, it's a good challenge for yourself to be able to teach yourself how to direct people and to put your vision out there using
True.
them to create what you want to create, right? But
Because
then
that's another thing, yeah.
there's also the element of um, there's also the element of like being an artist, and what I noticed, you're a mixed media artist because you're using so many,
Right.
and that probably also is carrying on to that. At least for me. Okay, guys, we're gonna have to take a quick commercial break. Bear with me, and we'll be right back, and we can continue this wonderful interview. Because I'm a mixed media artist as well, and I've turned into multimedia artist using these podcasts and everything too. And
Hmm.
that also, I was like, okay, I'm not normally a social person. I'm kind of introverted. I was like, but how are other artists going to ever get promoted if I'm in a position to do it and no one else is? I got to do it. I have to come out. I have to try to talk to
Exactly.
artists and bring them out there to show them to the world, and I think that
Yeah.
was my challenge, and maybe directing is your challenge for you to grow.
Hmm. I get that. So for me, one of my mottos is, well, I guess a motto, it's something that I say to myself a lot, but you've probably heard the term about the jack of all trades is a master of none. But people won't say that a lot. But the thing is, the full sentence is jack of all trades is a master of none, but it's oftentimes better than a master of one. And so I never ever have ever thought about just putting myself into one medium,
Yeah.
just putting myself into oil painting. Like as much as I want to, I know that wouldn't be right, and I know that if I wanted to do things as best as possible, to do the best ever, and the director has to know, like an overall director would have to know a lot of different things.
They
To
have to
do
have at
the
least a
best
core
job, you've
understanding
got to
of
be
things.
open. You've got to be able to, yeah, open up to other people's ideas. But not only that, be aware of those other ideas or what could go into a project of any sort. And so being aware of other mediums or other ideas, other ideologies, wherever it is, that's a lot stronger. And I think that's one of the reasons why people talk about traveling places is a really good idea, because it opens your mind to people,
yeah.
different cultures, different people, and the way people live. I mean, lots of people don't always think about how significant that is, but that's partially because some of us don't ever take the plunge as serious as we need to.
Well, when you
And a lot of
explore
people,
things and you put yourself in situations to learn more about environments and then teach yourself other things, what you were saying about, is better than a master of one, right? That phrase is because we have more adaptability. We have the ability to do more. One person that is focused on mastering just one medium of one thing, they'll never be able to be that flexible. They're stuck in a single medium. They don't explore past that. But I think that people that are mixed media artists have opportunities to do a broader amount of jobs or a broader amount of projects,
yeah,
and that includes our experiences too. And like you're saying, I think artists that do get out and they explore and they travel, things like that, that does broaden their horizons and their vision, I think.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm kind of getting at partly, because I spend a lot of time trying to think about how I could best make myself uncomfortable in a way that would help me learn after that. And so recently I started going out to the bar because I always thought that might be a place that I might belong a lot more than I realized. And I was kind of right. There's a lot of people there that share my ideas when it comes to art or share my interests sometimes. And I wouldn't have found that if I hadn't taken the plunge to go and do that. I was always kind of scared of going out into that kind of environment. And so making that decision, it felt a little bit awkward, or trying to go out and drink, awkward moment, but being in that environment really opened my eyes in that moment. And I've done lots of other things like going to festivals or talking to people that I don't always really want to talk to. That can always be a way of growing oneself, I think.
So I have a question for you then. What would you say
Yes.
to, and this often happens, an artist who is shut in, they have amazing work, but they never want to, they're scared to put themselves out there. What would you say to an artist like that, that is hiding away and not showing their work?
Well, to that person, I would probably say that I think what they do is amazing, and to an extent, it's okay to keep it locked away. Because, I mean, sometimes people want art is partially meant for an expression of self, and so sometimes it's just something you need to share with yourself, not necessarily with other people, and that can make oneself happy. But sometimes, like, even if you want to spread it out, like, you need to realize that lots of people want to see that. They want to see people like that around. That passion that you have is electric, and if you don't let it out, like, you're sealing yourself off from people who may actually want to see that. And not only that, but it's something that makes others happy, I'm sure, in some degree. It's just take the plunge. Sometimes you just need to take the plunge of putting it out there that you need to do.
Yeah, and you never know whose life you might impact or who you might meet in the process of pushing yourself, despite the anxiety you may have or the fear that that people won't like your work, those things. You got to push past those things and find the people that will like your work if you want, especially, you know, who you may impact. You never know. You might meet someone and you may change their life with your work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I hope to do. I mean, I personally hope, as much as I am an artist, I tend to be a lot more electric in person, and I see that all the time. Just being out and about, going to the bar, or going anywhere really, people people get some sort of spark when they see me, and I don't always know why that is, but I know that's something that I can use to help others. It encourages them to also create and to also fill their lives to do something more than what they see themselves doing day by day. And me seeing that, I want to encourage that in people because I think that helps people feel more fulfilled and happy. And so I'm glad to be there to do that for people. And so I make a big push on my day to day to try and do that for everybody that I could see, and especially for the ones that I really care about.
So I feel like artists are often own like most time people when you're a public artist especially people see your work all the time, but the thing
Yeah,
about artists
that's
is
another thing.
we're more than just our work. We are the work is us, and we are also, unique elements to communities. We're important as people in those communities to influence
Hmm.
others to, take on those roles as well, influence kids that may have an artistic spark and then they see an
Hmm.
artist and they may, get that spark from the artist, like you were saying, and it inspires them to
Yeah.
be like that person.
Well, it's not for me. A lot of the time, it's not even kids. I
Oh, yeah, just the people in general.
I don't necessarily. Yeah, I right now at least I don't do too well with kids, but with older people, like I get along with anybody really in this town, and I see that spark in everybody, like any point. As long as I'm just being myself, especially, that spark is created somehow, and I have to remind myself constantly to like respect being myself because that's what really gets people going is seeing the transparency and the forth puttingness that I have, the just outgoing nature of being myself and not letting other people control what that is.
So I had a
And that
question about what subjects and topics do you explore in your art? Okay, guys, another short break. We'll be right back and continue it. I know this one's a bit of a longer one. It is so far, I believe this is the longest interview I have had, uh, considering all of the ones I've done the year and half or so that I've been doing this. Um, but anyways, we'll be back from a short break, and then we will continue this interview.
what topics do I explore in my
And
art?
subjects, yeah.
This one right here, this one was the start of everything, and so I was
You
in
can get
a
it and
really.
pull it up if you want so we can see it a
Oh yeah,
little
true.
better.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but anyway, this was
Yeah,
the
just
one
talk
that I
about it.
started with, and I think I called it Scarlet Flowers. I think is the name that I've called
Yeah.
it. Code name, I guess, right now. I usually give every single piece code names until I finish, but this one came about just from sheer emotion. I didn't think too much at all about what I wanted to do. I was thinking about some feelings, really complicated feelings about a breakup that I was going through, and about all the not struggling to put forth like my feelings towards it, and why, because I wasn't able to express myself fully with it about that breakup. I wasn't able
Yeah.
to say what was needed to be said to the right people in any way, and that hurt a lot. And so a lot of this was just that completely primal, I would say, emotion just
A lot of
expressed
pain.
onto a canvas. Yeah, and so I started making flowers out of shapes that I saw. And I think that speaks to basically a lot of these shapes, you can see some things that make sense, but not all of it makes sense. And I think that is reflective of the emotions that I was feeling during that whole time I was trying to express stuff onto this piece. It's just trying to get feelings out that were so complicated to try and express the inept ability that I was not able to express properly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this piece entailed. And
Very
that's
nice.
it's
It's a beautiful
on par
piece.
with it's on par with some of the other things I showed you a photo that you could use in this segment that
Yeah.
is reflective of this piece. It's done by a guy named Marshall, but essentially the photo that he took, I did it as a painting, and
Nice.
this piece is also kind of a reflection of that. It has to do with saying things, not being able to say things that need to be said.
Yeah.
So not being able to express things because of a lack of knowing how to say it, or like knowing if you should say it because of what the repercussions of being transparent or honest about it could be, or the ramifications that go into that.
Being
And so
gagged in a sense.
kind of essentially, yeah, quite exactly, yes. But also this one kind of it tried to entail where that all comes from. The influences outside of that kind of control how how you say things, or how I say things even, that influence going into the brain and then coming out necessarily, not always as something that is cohesive or conceivable, because it's not something able to be said in words. It's just not necessarily good enough to be said in words.
It's a lot of emotions and
Complicated emotion.
yeah. Well,
And so
art
that
often
struggle,
can be. So there's a lot of expressism in your work, it seems.
yeah. Yeah, and
That's really
so with
cool.
those two, that's what that is. With this one and the one on the very right of, this is my right, one on the very end, these more so have to do with the relationships exactly. So this one has to do with animal symbolism of, I would say, ladies, relationships I've had really strong feelings for.
Oh, I see.
And each one has its own animal symbolism tied to it. Spider, snake, black sheep is what I said there, whale, kraken, squid, and raven, kind of where that goes. And so that's kind of the animals that I attribute to those specific people.
Yeah.
I also attribute songs to them to an extent, and
Oh.
Yeah. But I do that with everybody that's I do that with a lot of people that are really important in my life.
So you explore
And
a lot
then
of your
there's,
experiences in your life and your emotions that you
yeah,
feel at the time being when you paint something.
yeah. To an extent, yeah, that's partly what I do. Sometimes I like expressing my thoughts on an idea. I tried painting a cityscape based on one of those stories that I told you about, but I did not have the ability to properly express it in the way that I wanted. And because of that, I could never get it done. Because if I can't, I
Cityscapes are
struggle with,
rough. They're hard.
they
You
are.
know, they're challenging. If
Trust me,
you
this
get,
one's even more difficult than you think. I'd have to tell you about it. But imagine having to include anti-gravity,
oh
like
yeah,
physics or something, into how to shape the buildings and everything
oh wow,
properly without, yeah, nah, it's not
you got to
easy to
consider
think about.
that, especially. That's
Yeah,
interesting
and
thought.
so there's that, and then there's this one right here, which has to do with the two relationships that hurt me the most. Hard time knowing exactly how I thought through things day by day, or like I didn't even fully express myself like I do today. I was still back in that more introverted stage, right on
Yeah,
the line of it. But the other one is that more recent one that it was a lot more reflective of that one, where at the end of the day, I was, well, I was insulted and picked apart, basically thrown aside without any second thought. And that really hurt a lot. And I think I thought about it for a long time, but the thing is that at the end of the day, I was just picked apart because she was trying to make me feel like I was the one at fault all along. Even though I was very open, I wanted her to be open, but the things that she didn't necessarily, at the end of it, she closed herself off completely.
I
And I
think
wasn't able
everybody
to.
needs time to grow, and I feel
True.
like our time with people are eras in our life, and you can take what good out of that you did have and move past the bad and grow from it. And hopefully she's done the same. What are your
With that,
opinions before we're done here? What are your opinions about the art culture in Texarkana?
oh geez, well I could tell you a lot about that. So like I told you, I know a lot of people in town and everything, and that's quite true. I try to, I try to know more people than everyone else as much as I can, and so there's a few ways to categorize it. You've got the people that the one place I don't know too well is how art is handled in the high schools or in the other colleges outside of Texarkana College.
Yeah.
But you've got the higher up, older folk who make more traditional art, and they sell stuff. One of the places they sell stuff is at this gallery over here.
Oh yeah.
It's called the gallery. It's called the Gallery 1894, and it's
Nice.
a yeah. Underneath there's a speakeasy, but the gallery, it's a nice place. Lots of older folk typically put their work up here. They've got exhibitions they put up here. There's also the Texarkana Regional Arts Center, which is down
Nice.
the way over there, and it's a good place. I haven't really participated as much. There's usually a lot of older folk, and a lot of the younger ones, they don't do quite a lot in this town.
I
Mostly
feel like that's a
because,
problem in a lot of areas.
yeah, but in
Shreveport
Texarkana,
had that
that's kind of a,
problem really bad, like back in 2015, 2016. A lot
yeah.
of people, a lot of the artists were older artists, but in this recent last few years, I've seen an influx of younger artists, like really coming in, and hopefully Texarkana, the younger artists, they just need to find
Hopefully.
that place.
I'm the one who tries to electrocute that, but I'm kind of the only guy my age that goes around and does this stuff, and I'm young. I'm only 21. And so there's that, but then there's also the people who go to the bars. Everybody has it. Lots of people have it as a hobby, doing art as a hobby to an extent.
Yeah.
But there are also people that do crafts and other oil paintings. There's a few cool people in this town. There's some good ones from college that I know, really good ones that I've worked with. One's named Alyssa. I've got a picture of some of her work. She's got a series. Me doing this whole series was inspired by her thinking about doing her own series of oil paintings of like Roman statues, and she got that idea from my mentor Darlene,
Actually,
the mentor.
funny thing
Oh,
you say that. I've actually done a few watercolor paintings of Roman and Greek statues myself.
yeah,
That's funny. But they're
yeah.
very beautiful, and I admire the
There's
marble
also
work. You know.
yeah, yeah. There's also the mural workers. So like, for me, there's like three that come up to mind. There's David, I think his name is Freeman, Jess Weiner, and then Darlene Taylor. That's my mentor. And
So
so I also work.
one thing I can suggest, the best thing
Mhm.
to do to promote those artists who just do it on the side, but they still create work, is sometimes you gotta push them a little. Because when I was
Oh,
an artist
I
and I
know.
didn't show my stuff,
Trust me.
I had people come and say, "Hey, I had a friend. He was just like dragged me out to an art thing, had me do a vending setup with him, taught me everything. He's like, "All right, I know you didn't want to do this, but now you're showing your work. Now you have no excuse. You know how to do it." And he just got me to keep doing them. And he pressured me in a way that I needed, you know. So sometimes that's
Yeah.
all they need.
No, I know. I try to do that with everybody because I know some of them slow
That's
down. That friend Alyssa that I mentioned, she's gotten a little slow, so I need to shake her back up to start doing some more painting because that's what she wants to do.
when you have someone with you to do it, it's easier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then there's the one that I kind of like tag with a lot. Her name's Paige. She's also like helped Arlene with some murals and stuff, but like she's basically like my buddy when it comes to doing art on the regular, and so she and her husband are currently trying to do a Kickstarter for a D&D campaign. That's their thing.
Nice.
And then
Well,
you've
you'll
got
have to
a
get
few
me in
people who
connected with them so that I can
I
talk to
will.
them about
I
their
will.
project.
You need to because they need some advertisement badly. I'm basically the producer,
All right, well,
so I've got
we'll
to
get
help
in
them with that.
contact about that, and you can send me their contact
I'll also tell you
information.
about like if you need to get in contact with some people like anywhere in town. Yeah. For me,
Legend.
I kind of group myself as part of some families in this town as like some sort of like off not blood related relative of like some of the families in this town because that's kind of where I got my start with some of them. But there's a lot of people in town who know about each other strictly more so because they their
They've been
parents
around.
or their grandparents were already here,
Yeah.
and that's just a whole crazy thing. And if the culture is good, it's just they need more focus on the younger side, but also more focus on ways of downtown has with murals and stuff. Downtown, it's got a weird system where we have to have a council that has a unanimous vote in order to get murals placed down here. And so that keeps murals from being made. It takes like 2 to 3
Interesting.
years of like court stuff to go down before you're able to put a mural up. If it's inside a building, it's fine. You don't have to go through it. But if it's outside, you have to go through some sort of regulation process usually.
That's weird.
Somewhat,
Okay.
unless it's like got some sort of special rule. Yeah,
Huh.
and that's kind of bunk, but it's just what it is. There's that, and then there's lots of things. Music is kind of lively.
Yeah, I've
I'm
heard
not too
the
well
music is
known.
pretty lively in that area.
I'm
Yeah.
not too well known about. I mean, like, we have Otis Williams, the only original member from the Temptations. If you know that, talking about my girl.
Yeah.
That song, yeah, that the only original surviving member is from here.
Aw,
We also
that's
have.
nice.
You probably don't know who Scott Joplin is. I'm guessing.
I don't think
Do you know?
so.
You should know who he is. Uh, you look up the song "The Entertainer" or "Maple Leaf Rag," and you'll instantly recognize those
Okay,
songs.
I'll
He
check
wrote
it
them.
out.
he, yeah, he grew up here until he was 9, kind of South Louisiana. But we like to say that he was from here.
Ah,
Despite the fact he moved when he was 9.
I mean,
We have a mural
we
for him. We
still
have a mural for
Elvis here
him.
in Shreveport all the
And
time.
then there
He's
was
like,
Elvis. Yeah,
we
that's the other
Elvis was
one.
like, made his big debut here at our
Yeah.
Shreveport Municipal
I
Auditorium,
mean,
and we always
bigger
like
than
to
those
claim him.
guys.
He's ours.
Yeah, when I like to think about heroes from this town, though, I don't think about them as much as I think about Ross Perot. Because I've heard. Do you know who that is? Do you
No,
know
I
who
don't
that is
think
at
so.
all?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's because you live in Louisiana, but he's this big guy who ended up selling cotton when he was an adult. He helped, like the space treaty that's up in that's set for space and everything. He
Yeah.
helped write that. He helped
Oh.
co-found Dell and Texas Instruments.
That's cool.
Tried building a particle accelerator in Texas. Most people don't know about that. He also tried running for president in either 1990 or 92, and he's the one who's gotten the most third-party votes out of any presidential candidate.
Oh, wow.
He basically ran the mix between Republican and Democrat, which is called centralism, which is kind of what every president is essentially. Already.
Moderate, middle.
Because they have to once they are presidents, they have to choose to do some of one and some of the other for everybody. Because
Yeah.
they're the president, yada yada. But that's basically, he ran third party. He did it by shelling out a bunch of ads. But
And he's from Texarkana?
it's cool nonetheless. Yeah, he's from
That's
Texarkana.
awesome.
He grew up here. He lived here even when he was rich. This was his home, and I would say that that's some big thing. But the thing is, oh, he's some big guy, but from Texarkana. But also, I've heard good things about him.
Okay.
Like some personal, because I've heard personal things about him before he died,
Okay.
and he was a good guy.
That's good
And
to
I
hear.
look up to that because, from one of the things I've heard, he's one of the people I look up to in life when I think about my art or something about how I want to affect people.
Aw.
I think about how effective he was for, especially the individuals in this town. Because I love this
So a
town, and
very
it'll always be
inspiring figure for you.
one of them, yeah. There's
That's
that, and then
cool.
there's a few others. I would have gone into that, but it's its whole thing.
Well,
There's
thank
a
you so
couple
much
of other ones.
for talking to me, Colton, today about
It's
all
no
of
problem.
this, about your art, and exploring a little bit on how you create your paintings and where they come from.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. and
I hope it wasn't a bad interview or
No.
anything.
No, it's not a bad interview at all. I liked a lot of the emotional connection that you have to your art, and it's good to see that. Some
it's more
artists
than just
some artists are very just logical about their work and are very just about the process. But you seem to be more about loose in the process, and it's more about
That's
your
what my new
emotions.
process is. It's not that I always was. I was very much more about the design first before thinking about that. And that's why I'm tearing away from it, because I think that this one might be more effective. This method might actually be more proper for me.
I think
at
it
the end of the day.
fits you. All
I
right,
think so too.
thank you for talking to me. And next time you do another mural, maybe we'll have a conversation about another mural or major
Then
project
we'll
you
actually
have.
I'll actually have you recording there. I'm sorry we couldn't. It's below 40 degrees and I can't be painting.
It's okay.
The paint's too improper.
I understand that. All right, guys. So that was my interview with Colton Barker, expressionist artist who also is working on a mural for Fuzzy Tacos there near Texarkana. Um, well, I certainly enjoyed this conversation. It was good to dive into the way emotions are impacting us as artists when we're creating. And some artists like Colton here, you express those feelings through the creation process of their art. So yeah, so next week I plan to I likely will be doing the whole step by step process for getting signed up for the Northwest Louisiana Art Directory. If you are from that area, then a process of how to uh, register for critical mass, how to set up your work to be presentable and ready to go into a gallery setting, or what to expect when the critics come in, and how to get you comfortable with the idea of being critiqued. Um, all right. So that'll be next week. You can catch a recap of this likely on Wednesday at 11, unless something comes up and around that time. We can't always control that. But next Saturday at noon, I'll see you for that. Um, Remember, guys, support local artists. Um, Little as sharing, liking, commenting on their work, buy it is the best way to support. I think any artist would agree to that. If you buy our work, show it to us hanging on your wall, and keep us in your hearts, keep us in your minds. Um, Visit our shows. We would especially that. We love to see. We want to talk to you about it. If you have questions about our art, come talk to us about it. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for visiting with me here on Architects Artistry. You can catch more of my stuff on KSLA.com under Community and Architects Artistry under that. That's all my articles. If you want to just watch my videos, go to podcasts and check out Architects Artistry under that section. You can find us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and other streaming apps. All right, guys. Take care.